as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, I have to make this video because this is one of the books I want to include. So I don't know about you guys, but I am completely obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunter. Yeah, it's actually really a problem. So funny story, funny thing about this all is that I actually auditioned for K-pop Demon Hunter like 2 years ago. And am I a little sad that I didn't get it? Yeah, of course. When I saw this project, I immediately was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be a part of it because Sony Animation, K-pop, Demon Hunters, that premise alone was awesome, but I didn't get it. I auditioned for the role of Rumi, which Arden Cho does an amazing job. So can't even be mad about it. It is what it is. With that being said, the movie is so good, animation so good. The songs itself, so good. The fact that they are on the trending top 100 charts for Billboard, I believe, that says a lot because the music is so good. And honestly, if it weren't for the music, I think it wouldn't be to the level of obsession and fandom that it is now, but it is blowing up and for good reason. It is so good. And if you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it, especially if you are going to be watching this video, because this video is going to be for people like me who have watched the movie, who are literally craving anything under the sun that will make you feel alive like the movie did. So with that being said, this is going to be ultra specific book recommendations based on very specific moments in this movie. If you haven't watched this movie, I am going to be talking about spoilers to be talking about some of these books. So go watch it and then come back and then you could read these books for all the K-pop Demon Hunter book girlies. But for the people that have watched it and are rewatching it for like the 5th time, this one is for you. This one is definitely for you. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I love Jinu and Rumi. They are so freaking cute. I'm not okay with him disappearing like that. I'm hoping if they make a second movie or a spinoff show, he comes back somehow. But now that his soul has been relinquished from the head honcho of the demon, I'm hoping that we see him again in the second movie, spinoff, whatever. But with that being said, I love their dynamic so much. They are so freaking cute. Like, something about their just everything about them is so cute. But if you really like the scenes where they're meeting up with each other outside of their respective groups, like outside of the Saja boys and the Huntrix girls, if you like those scenes where they're meeting up with the tiger and the magpie, you know what I'm talking about, then I would highly recommend Pingsu for Two. So I actually recently read this book. I borrowed it from the library and it's so cute. So basically, Pingsu for Two, it follows River, who is this high school student, and he is the co-manager of this cafe, this Korean cafe that his parents own. He basically doesn't want to work there. He is literally co-managing with his ex and everything like that. So he ends up working for the cafe down the street, who is their competition, and it's like a very homey cafe called Pingsu for Two. And him and the one of the workers, aka the owner's daughters, yeah, they don't get along. Literally, the opening scene is her coming into the cafe that he formerly worked at, basically telling him off. Yeah, it started off with a bang. So their dynamic, I think her name is Harang. Yes, Harang. So basically, River and Harang really remind me of Rumi and Jin, especially when they kind of like bicker and go back and forth. It's not enemies to lovers per se. Kind of is. The book is kind of enemies to lovers, but not true enemies to lovers. I feel like it's based on like former prejudice to lovers sort of situation, which is kind of like what Roomie and Chinu is kind of about, because Rumi has been told all these things about demons and she's literally fought her whole life against demons with her being in Huntrix and everything like that. And her mom got killed by demons. So she definitely has a prejudice against demons. So she has a bit of a prejudice against Chinu, but as we all know, she gets over that and then they have a bond, which is kind of like what happens with River and Sarang. So if you like that sort of dynamic, especially when they meet up by themselves, I would definitely recommend Pingsu for Two. It like really reminds me of that. As I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, I have to make this video because this is one of the books I want to include. So that's why this video came to be, actually, because of Pingsu for Two. So along with that, if you like the dynamic where Chinu and Rumi are working together and nobody knows about it, it's like a secret, that sort of secret relationship and kind of like, not tension, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, the feeling of like when you know that people are working together and nobody else knows about it. And it's like a giddy feeling because you know that they're like getting closer and then they're not supposed to be getting closer, but they get close anyways. And it's super cute. And like, you just want to keep that feeling forever. That feeling specifically, I would recommend this graphic novel called Lunar New Year. I read it in the winter and It is so cute. It is by Jean Luen Yang, who also wrote American Born Chinese. I didn't really like that one, to be quite honest with you guys. I'm so sorry. But it basically has a mystical element with the main character having like the voice of Valentine's over her shoulder and navigating her through life. But the dynamic that she has with the MMC in the graphic novel really reminds me of the secrecy and like the buzzing feeling you get when Chinu and Rumi work together and nobody knows about it. That really reminds me of that. So there's that. It's not a Korean story, although one of them is half Korean or part Korean, but it's mostly centered around this like lion dancing team, which is very typical to like the Chinese culture for Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year. So it's not exactly a Korean story. And all of these book recommendations aren't necessarily Korean stories, but I did try to include as many as possible because, as you guys know, K-pop Demon Hunter is following a K-pop group, which I'm gonna guess because they have very strong ties to historic Korea that they're Korean. So I want to represent Korea because I'm also Korean. So, you know, gotta spread the Korean love, Korean pride, and everything like that. So general Roomie, Chinu coded stuff, I would also say is I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Anne Liang. So this is a YA book. It's marketed as enemies to lovers, but it's more so like misunderstanding to lovers where the guy is like completely obsessed with her, and I feel like that's kind of Roomie and Chinu coded, although it's not canon, nobody knows for sure, but the way Chinu looks at Roomie, yeah, you can definitely tell he's down bad for her. He's definitely down bad for her. He literally died, or he literally got turned into dust or turned into her sword because he was so down bad for her. So if you like that sort of energy, I would say I Hope This Doesn't Find You is definitely that. Also, the main character in I Hope This Doesn't Find You is very much kind of like Roomie coded, where she wants to be the very best and do the very best. So that sort of dynamic is definitely in there. And also another Roomie Jinu coded one is Counting Down With You by Tashi Buyan. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry. This book is based around fake dating. I wouldn't say enemies to lovers, but fake dating and working together. So the general working together vibe without anybody else knowing with Chinu and Roomie, that is definitely similar in that aspect. But I would also say like the addictive, cute, wholesome sort of vibes is definitely there with Counting Down With You, which I kind of associate with this. Like, it definitely has humor, cute moments. It will make you audibly squeal. At least it did for me. So yeah, definitely general Roomie Jinu coded stuff. So speaking of lighthearted, cutesy nature of the movie, if you kind of like that sort of vibe of K-pop Demon Hunter, of course there's serious moments, but the general vibe is like very funny, very over the top dramatic, cutesy sort of vibe, kind of like a K-drama in animation. And you like the forbidden aspect of Roomie and Chinu, where it's like they are two beings that are just not really meant to be together, since she's a demon hunter and he is a demon, and you know, her parents also same thing happened. But that forbidden aspect of it, but you want like a lighthearted version of it, I would definitely go with the graphic novel Fangs by Sarah Anderson. It basically follows a vampire and a werewolf and just like very wholesome shenanigans and them dating and getting to the point of dating. Honestly, if you replace them as Demon and Demon Hunter, it kind of feels like an AU version of Roomie and Chinu. I'm gonna say it. If they didn't have to be against each other, if they could just live happily ever after, that's what it kind of feels like. So if you like the aspect of K-pop Demon Hunter where they're K-pop stars, but they live like a separate life as demon hunters, I think you'll really like Stars and Smoke by Marie Lu. And it feels very much Mira coded, I would say, in some sense. I ended up DNFing this book because it wasn't really for me. But Marie Lu, I've read her other books and she's phenomenal. So it's truly nothing against her. It's just one of those situations where like I just don't think the book was really meant for me. With that being said, I wouldn't discourage you guys from checking it out if you guys are interested in that, because quite literally the plot of this book is that they're recruiting a K-pop star to help them with this big mission that they're doing. I don't know if it's like the CIA or anything like that, but like a secret service. They're recruiting a K-pop star to help them with that. So with that being said, it kind of has like that sort of vibe, and the writing style kind of reminds me of the characters and how they behave towards each other, and just like their, I don't know, just like the vibe of the book gives very much Mira coded for me. So if you like Mira and just like that sort of vibe, I would definitely give that a shot. So the next one is not really like related, I would say, to any specific plot point or moment in K-pop Demon Hunter, other than the fact that there is a K-pop star in this book. But it's very cutesy, wholesome. It's a YA book, and it feels very much Zoe coded, in my opinion. So I'm still gonna give you guys the recommendation, which is Once Upon a K-Prom by Kat Cho. It's basically following Elena, who is the FMC. It is a YA book, but she basically feels very overshadowed by her sisters, and she doesn't really know what to do, and she needs a date for prom. And turns out that a K-pop star comes to her door and asks her to be her prom date. But also turns out that they are childhood friends. So it just follows that whole situation and just kind of getting to know her K-pop star childhood best friend again, and that sort of dynamic of it all. It's cute. It's very cute, very wholesome. So if you guys are interested in that and just kind of like Zoe coded, like it's very Zoe coded, I feel like. If Zoe was a reader, she would be eating this book up. Speaking of Kat Cho, I would say that she's very good at highlighting Korean culture in her books. So with that being said, if you like Korean folklore, but like in the modern day setting, kind of like how K-pop Demon Hunters was with the demons and just hunting them down since the beginning of them in historic Korea to modern day Korea with the K-pop groups. If you like that aspect of it and want to know more about K-pop folklore of a situation, like an intro into that, I would say Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirits is a really good way to do that. They're both in a series. Wicked Fox is the first one in the series, and it's by Kat Cho. And instead of demons, it is following an FMC who is a kumyo, which is basically a nine-tailed fox. If there's one thing you need to know about me, is that I love nine-tailed fox stories. Any story based on nine-tailed foxes, I will eat up every single time. Like, listen guys, once I get past some of these other writing things that I'm into, a future project of mine will definitely involve a kumyo. Kumyo folklore is so, I don't know, it's just so fun. Usually what it is, like, I don't know the complete lore of kumyos, so don't quote me on it, but kumyos are basically nine-tailed foxes, and they are luring people to eat their hearts, essentially. And I just love it so much. I love so many things based on it, and I truly enjoyed Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirit. What can I say? So if you are interested in learning more about that and Korean folklore in general, it is in the series. I would also say if you're interested in shamanism, like how it kind of works in modern day Korean society, because shamanism is still very much a thing in Korea, like to this day. So if you guys are interested in like introductory of that, then definitely check out the series because she does include shamanism in that. Okay, you know the scene at the end of the movie where it's like after Mira and Zoe find out about Rumi and her demon markings and everything like that, and then they kind of feel like there's no point and they don't feel good enough, and that's when the demon voices are fueling that sort of thought in their head, as well as the many people around them. And then that's when they're going to the Saja Boy concert, because the demons are fueling their fears and their inner negative thoughts and that kind of stuff. I would say, not that you're into that, but if you kind of want a story that reflects that sort of chaotic, like feeding into your worst fear sort of thing, or that really resonated with you and you want to read a book that kind of resonates with that feeling too, I would say Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman is literally that. Literally that. This is based on a half Japanese character, so it's not Korean at all, but that feeling is like encapsulated in this book. And I don't know what that says about me, because this is one of my favorite books of all time. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But that's why I know that this encapsulates it, okay? This follows Kiko, and she comes from a very dysfunctional family, like very dysfunctional family. And because of that, she has a lot of trauma and just like a lot of, like I would say self-esteem, but it's beyond self-esteem. Like it's very impacted by her trauma because of her family dysfunction. And it's basically her learning to get out of that as she pursues her dreams to be an artist, and she reconnects with a childhood friend that helps her get there and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to say it's Mira coded, but I feel like Mira would probably appreciate this book if she ever were to read it, because Mira definitely has family issues. Although I would suspect that Mira's family situation is a little bit different, because in the Golden music video, in the family portrait, it looks like her family is a little bit wealthy, maybe potentially hinting that she's maybe like a chaebol, or maybe she's just wealthy. And in Korea, like wealthy people, especially if they're like chaebol, is like very different family dysfunction if they have family dysfunction compared to Kiko in her family dysfunction. You know what I mean? But I feel like maybe she would resonate with certain aspects of this book. So if you like that like chaotic, like really in your feel sort of thing with the demons feeding into your fears, yeah, definitely Starfish is the way to go. Which, speaking of family dysfunction and mirror-coded things because of family dysfunction, another graphic novel that gives me that general mirror-coded family dysfunction vibe is This One Summer by Mariko Tamaki. So basically, it's following this FMC who, her and her family go to this summer house every single summer to get away from everything, and she meets up with this, I forget her name, but this one girl that she's there all the time. They're kind of basically like sister sort of vibes, like the sister that she never had. And the summer that they follow in this graphic novel is a little bit different. Her parents are fighting a lot and things are shifting. So I feel like probably Mira would relate to this. So if you relate to that, or if you want to read more about that, like mirror-coded things with family dysfunction, I would definitely say this graphic novel is the way to go. Second to last recommendation that I have, again, toxic family dynamics. I said that this feels very mirror-coded, but this could also be Celine coded, I would say, in a sense where Celine helping Rumi's mom, promising to take care of Rumi despite the fact that she doesn't agree with Rumi's mom getting with a demon, and the fact that Rumi is half demon. So that sort of dynamic, I would say Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. She's a Korean author, and it follows two Korean sisters and just how they're just like sisters that don't really get along, and they never really have gotten along, but one of them ends up getting cancer, and just how their dynamic shifts based on that, and just like how the dysfunction of their relationship comes to light because of that diagnosis. Now that I say that out loud, it kind of does feel more like Celine and Rumi's mom / Celine and Rumi coded, more so than Mira coded. But yeah, general dysfunction coded from K-pop Demon Hunter, I would say it falls into any of that aspect, really. So, okay, last but not least is a book that if you feel like you relate to Rumi because you feel like you have to be perfect all of the time, or if you want a book that kind of explores that element more of Rumi being perfect all the time and just kind of being on high pressure because of that, I would say I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu is definitely one of those books that reflects that. This book is basically a YA book, and the main character, I think her name is Desi? Yeah, Desi Lee. She's like the epitome of the perfect student, perfect daughter. She literally does everything under the sun just so that she can get into Stanford and be a good daughter for her, I think, single father. Just making sure that like everything is good around her. And by good around her, it all reflects on her. And if anything's bad, then she feels bad about it. Like that's just the type of person that she is. And so throughout this book, she kind of finds out how to fall in love because she really doesn't know the first thing about it since she's focused so hard on being the perfect student and perfect daughter. There's a lot of Korean drama references, and it's not super serious. Like it has serious moments, kind of like K-pop Demon Hunter, but the overall vibe of it definitely does remind me of K-pop Demon Hunter as well. So it's like nothing too crazy where you're gonna cry in the club, but I would say the epitome of Rumi as a character and her downfall, not downfall, but like, you know what I mean? Like her character progression is very much similar to Desi. So if you are interested in that, that is definitely the way to go. But yeah, those are all the recommendations that I have. Some of them aren't super specific, but they are specific to people and their general aura and that kind of stuff. So I would say still pretty specific. But if you guys want more recommendations for K-pop Demon Hunters, I can dig through. These are just kind of like firsthand what came to mind when I was like super inspired to do this when I finished Pink Super 2. So, you know, I can definitely do more recommendations if you guys have any specific ones that you want me to recommend books for. I think that's it. This was a lot of fun to make, honestly, to kind of like look through my book collection and as well as books that I've read to see what would fit a certain vibe and specific things of this movie. So I think I might make more videos based on like ultra specific things from movies and TV shows. So if you guys have any movies or TV shows that you want ultra specific recommendations for as well, let me know. And that is it. I will see you guys next time. Bye.